Summer is over, so I wanted to do a tier list for all the shows that I watched. But this time, I'm also gonna rank them from the bottom all the way to my top favorite, just to switch things up. As always, this list won't have any sequels from series I haven't started yet, or that I dropped before. Lots of stuff that I haven't been able to get to, so it would be unfair. Also, gonna be a bit light on editing, and recording, while scripted, might be more laid back, so hope you understand. There's a lot of entries, so let's get right to it.
Disappointment in the game of life!
Yeah, it's fate of the majority. I don't dislike the death game concept. Some of them are really liked, but it at least has to try, man. And Tazuketsu just doesn't. The concept where this great being asks a two-option question and the majority dies is simple, but I think it can be done well. I'd even say episode 1 does fairly fine explaining what's gonna go down and showing the cast and stuff. A little convoluted, but it's bare minimum fine. Episode 2 just throws everything in the trash. The drama they tried to build up evaporated when they took away the risks, and add all the rules that they spew out of nowhere, and it's just a confusing mess. I had really tried for a few more episodes, but it was annoyingly bad, and the cast isn't even good. The only true F tier for me this summer. Okay, now that we got the worst out of the way, and the reference, we're moving up to D-, and I'll zoom to a bunch of these. Number 41, Failure Frame. Maybe I'm putting this one a little low since it actually got popular, but I'm really just sick of the bullied guy becomes OP after he gets rejected trope. And part of the class is cartoonishly evil, except for the MC and the girl, of course. I don't know, the vibe itself is so negative right away, and I don't like that. And the CGI monsters and the boring main guy just made me skip it. Probably not as bad as I'm making it out to be, but it just wasn't for me. This is just ecchi nonsense. I mean, if it's your fetish, cool, but we've seen better, come on. Points for the idea of mixing fantasy, I guess, and being a bit funny, but meh. Moving to D tier. Pretty good concept, but episode 1 made me lose interest with a huge amount of exposition and the little comedy bits not being that funny. It's whatever. Okay, so they introduce a dungeon in the real world, and people go into adventure, kinda like solo leveling, but without its depth. This feels like it could have been an isekai instead of this convoluted story, and it's really generic apart from that. Not terrible, but didn't keep my interest. This one's just sad. I like the robot maid and how she tries to adapt to whatever this dude is trying to do, but the second-hand cringe is way too much. I'm sure it's trying to tell a sweet little story, but I could not watch this guy. I already had to stomach Kazuya before, not again. I know power fantasies are big in anime, but this one annoyed me. Like sure, why wouldn't these beautiful girls fall for the cringy otaku at first sight, and then offer to Arrow cosplay in front of him because of course? I mean, I've seen anime like that before, but with a main guy who forces the I hate 3D girls narrative, even when they have the best freaking scenario ever right in front of him, is so damn annoying. Like shut the hell up, man. Again, I know what this is and who it's aimed towards, but there's better stuff out there. I've seen reviews saying it gets better, but the first episodes are way too much of a barrier for me. I'd rather watch Dress Up Darling. Another plain isekai with the twist of having kids who are OP instead. Surprisingly, not much there. A show about cats and ramen, but nothing special. Visuals are fine at best, but didn't catch my eye. Yeah, this one visually is pretty awful, but it reminded me of Pop Team Epic, and I kinda enjoyed the nonsense with whatever story they were trying to tell. But it did get old really quick, so can't really give it more than a D+. Pretty promising first couple of episodes trying to show off the fantasy world and the main girl's story, but it went down from there, with a lot of exposition, new characters I didn't care about, and overall just got boring. Maybe I lost patience, but kinda fell off for me. I really loved the idea for this one, where a group of people get stranded in a video game while working as quality assurance. But the main character and sidecast didn't really hook me, and the whole mean-spirited aspect of the rebel QAs was way too cartoonish and dumb. Decent concept, but wasted. I usually like shows about traveling to different timelines and stuff, and this one had a decent story, but I think they overcomplicated stuff as episodes went on. Characters weren't anything special, but this could have been way better if it didn't try too hard. Really dig this one at first, with the main girl, the god's portrayal, and what her journey was about. Even the Rice stuff was interesting, but pairing her with these other 5 annoying characters really took me out of it. Like, I get they're trying to have the god do the hard stuff, but the others are painfully useless and one-dimensional. So I ended up leaving the show. Not bad, but hard to compete. Seriously, who asked for this? I barely watched the first Suicide Squad movie, and I didn't like it. I get James Gunn saved it, but the video game and this is overkill. Maybe if it was a normal adaptation, I'd give it a better shot, but making it an isekai while trying to flesh out some of these characters was baffling to me. The only one that seemed decent was Harley, but everyone else felt disposable immediately. And still having a fantasy world on top of it? I'm sorry, I wasn't on board and I dropped it. Sorry you wasted wit on this. I barely saw this one since it's boys love, and I'm not the demographic, but seemed fine to at least put here. Visually really good, but I was kinda expecting it to be more interesting. Just attractive vampires taking care of their kids, while some other storyline is going on. I don't know, I just didn't want to stomach crying babies and stuff. Was expecting more. If I'm gonna watch a love triangle story, you can't make one of the girls immediately unlikable. The geeky one with the annoying dialogue filled with references really sucked compared to the overly nice sporty girl. Doesn't help that the guy was boring too. There's way better romance shows later. Love the isekai aspect of the girl only having vague memories of tech from Earth, and having her adapt them and become an inventor was really cool. And while it started visually okay, it ended up going down in quality fast. And I wouldn't say it was the most engaging stuff either. Kinda slow, very focused on business stuff, and the characters didn't help flesh out the world more. It needed more of a spark, like what Sugar Apple Fairy Tale did. I kinda gave this one a hard time in my summer anime video, and I still think it's a big strong 0 ad, but I can't get over the first episode being really good at introducing this loudmouth, gooning VTuber girl. I think me not being big on the VTuber scene might affect my judgment, but I still think it's okay. If you're into that, you'd probably like it. Another property I don't think needed an anime, but I went to it hoping for something like Cyberpunk, but I think they dropped the ball. I know they have to make new characters for their own version, but I didn't really enjoy any of them. The overworked dad who neglects his kids while secretly protecting them is such a pet peeve of mine, and it doesn't help that neither of these characters are likable. The time-traveling hero doesn't have any personality, and while I appreciate Production IG, their action wasn't anything amazing enough to keep me watching. I guess if you're not gonna make the Terminator story any better, why bother? A cute girls doing stuff show about cheering. Kinda needed it to be a little more interesting to keep with it, considering we were bombed with other cute, funny anime, but I'm sure it was enjoyable. Plus, cheering just felt like idle stuff to me, so I dropped it, but I'm sure it was fine. Barely got to watch this one for the video, and while I was kinda excited for whatever this was gonna be, it started being clear that I needed a Luge to keep me invested, honestly. The show doesn't do a great job putting you in this new scenario with all these new characters. The new power had me curious, but this never felt like Code Geass to me. Maybe I have the nostalgia goggles too tight, but I couldn't bring myself to keep watching. So it lands here. Let's be honest, following Dungeon Meshi was gonna be rough for this show. It's a way cuter story where we see the people and mechanisms that make a dungeon work, but the theme is more goofy and lighthearted, and it focuses more on the thief girl and her charming relationship with the dungeon boss. Again, it's cute, but I kinda wanted more out of it. Another show where a character gets incredibly strong at a single thing, and they're oblivious of how OP they are. The formula is repetitive, but I'd still say the show is good enough to give it a shot. I did get a little annoyed at the dumb misunderstandings, but the rest of the cast are fine, and it's a simple fantasy anime, so no harm. Somewhat of a similar premise, but I like this one more. I think the main guy's backstory and his wish to be an adventurer, regardless of how old he is, was done pretty well, and I think it's funnier and more interesting to look at. The party that helps the guy get strong are a funny group, so I was really enjoying this one, even if it also suffers from being a bit of an overdone type of show. So if this list was only based on production and quality, this wouldn't be this high. I watched season 1 and I had a decent time, but I'd say it wasn't anything truly special until the ending. Season 2 has been less than that. The story gets a little boring, there's way too many new characters and plot points thrown at you, and visually it's a big downgrade. Like, it's sad to see how bad this got, from simple scenes to some really bad action sequences. The only reason this is high is because I'm somehow still invested. The twist was way too good to not make me curious on what they'll do. And another plus is Kevin Penkin still doing his stuff, even if the animation doesn't match him. Again, without my connection to the story, this would be a rank lower, but it is what it is. Just wish it was better. Beautiful looking anime with a great start, but sort of lost me as episodes went by. I think what took me out of it was Atri herself. I kinda didn't have any patience for her and her shtick. The issue that's presented is interesting, and I like how they try to fight the need to evacuate, while this other scenario with robots comes up. I just wish the characters were a little more interesting. I don't think they sell the huge earth-changing problem they have as much as they should. Plus, Atri and the main guy kinda being a thing is a little creepy. But again, visually really nice, so I'd say it deserves a B-. Barely saw this one advertised since it's a donghua, but I love this one's concept. Basically, it's an office worker who is sick of the daily grind, relatable, and randomly gets infected by an alien disease that'll kill her once she gets bored. So a superhero tries to help her, since it's sort of his fault. Really funny moments, and it's not afraid to go super goofy. The animation isn't great, but it kinda reminds me of Kappa Mikey, so it works. A surprisingly fun time. So going into the nitty gritty, I kinda think I overhyped this one in my video. I love the formula of the tsundere hiding her feelings in another language, and they get a good chunk of perfect rom-com moments, but it's all sandwiched in between student council and election stuff that I honestly couldn't care less for. And Alya's childhood issue is unique, but not that dramatic for me to feel something, so it does hold the show back a little bit. But again, when it does rom-com, it's very funny and kinda cute, even if they go for some of the most wild fanservice shots and situations, like geez man. And visually it's perfect for the genre, and I can't deny that Alya and the rest of the girls are perfect waifu material, so a few things aside, I still enjoyed it. I'm assuming a lot of people skipped this one or judged it for the whole cross-dressing thing, but I loved watching these three characters interact. While yes, Makoto's issue is the anchor to the show, I don't feel like it's in your face about it too much. It's written really well in the sense that they progress the issues he has against him in a satisfying way, be it how the other kids react, his family troubles, and then the love triangle plot. Which this last one works great because both Saki and Ryuji are also very well developed and explored. You really feel for Ryuji, and Saki just seemed to never catch a break. She's my favorite character, but man does he have it rough. Basically, it really made me care for them, and whatever trials and choices they had to make. Sort of mixed on the visuals though. When it goes for the funny moments, the silly change in style works great to deliver on the jokes, but at times it feels overused, even in some deeper moments. And in general, it's just good enough. But it still delivers on being cute, emotional, funny, and telling. I'm looking forward to the sequel movie, so yeah, it was good. Definitely the most meme show from summer, before it started. The opening really hyped me up for something crazy and hilarious, and yeah, it is, but man did it lose steam quick. Like, I do think the show does great breaking the fourth wall constantly, puts out a lot of quick gags and references, and can be really inventive. But a lot of those same jokes are repeated over and over again, and they stop being that funny. One that comes to mind is the use of slow motion and the dramatic choir voice. That one got old quick. Plus, bullying Torako, the useless rice girl, and the damn sister, who was never funny. But even if I'm being negative, when the show focused on the crazy antics and good gags, it was pretty easy to make me laugh, regardless of the low points. So yeah, not as great as I was hoping, but mostly still had fun. I'm a sucker for this trope, and I think they nailed it. Bones took advantage of the 12-minute runtime to deliver on the beautiful visuals combined with the funny gags and romance. I will say I wasn't fully into some of the more adult jokes, especially with the girl looking that young and innocent. Some of them do work because of the contrast, so it was a little hit or miss. But I do think they nailed the main relationship. I'm hoping we get a second season to give it a bit more cohesion and explore the plot. But from what I've read, this is pretty faithful already to the source material, and as is, I still really liked it. A very cute rom-com. I do think the first half of the show is carried by Rin, since he's such a great and energetic character, and while I wasn't big on Eiji, since he begged for her to act the multiple personalities and was really cringe, he got less annoying as the show went on, and I liked the chemistry they formed. It's one of those satisfying relationships that kept building up, and where we actually get to see them progress. So major props to them doing it in one season. Visuals are good, nothing spectacular, but they work well for the vibe. It was just a wholesome, cozy ride with a few laughs along the way. So I had a bit of a tough time deciding where to put this one. On the one hand, it's a very slow burn. Lots of small little problems being solved with a lot of dialogue. which can be a little tiring since they're super thorough on explaining everything, and the risks aren't that big at first. But on the other hand, if you stick with it, the stakes get higher. There are certain moments in each episode that clue to something going on with these two, and really kept me invested. And even if dialogue heavy, it's really well thought out. It also helps that it backs up all those talking scenes with some great visuals and directing. Maybe my love for mystery solving kept me at it, but I'd say this one deserves the spot. Another one that didn't get much attention, but man was it fun. My bias for knowing how YouTube works kinda catched me, but the wacky vampire aspect of the story, clashing with the emotional baggage Masaki is carrying after doing the wrong thing and reading the comments, was a pretty good combo. A very interesting look into how YouTube works. Not 100% realistic of course, but a lot of things they did right. And the main thing is the characters, who are super fun together, and actually showing their backstories was a great touch. I'd love another season of this. Yeah, another isekai, but I really like what it does. Seems like it's going to be this emo poet with the urge to die, and that was gonna be the repetitive formula. But when they introduced the other isekai people taking advantage of their powers, and how he writes their stories and sends them back home, it really went up my list. It got to some really deep and even emotional stories, and it balances well with the cool main cast and the funny little moments they have together. And again, being able to build up your characters works wonders for these shows, and can set you apart from the rest. A really fun concept that delivered. I can't get over how a show called Days with My Stepsister made it to my top 5. But man, this was a great surprise. Here I was, waiting for this to be a raunchy fanservice show, but instead we got a really mature and well done drama about two strangers suddenly getting thrust into this situation, and how they deal with these tricky feelings. A lot of great dialogue, points of view, and moments that really put you in their shoes, and kept you wondering if they were ever gonna act on those feelings, or if it's just a passing fancy. Both characters are written perfectly for this. You really feel these two were meant to meet each other at this exact time in their lives. Is it a touchy subject? Absolutely. But again, the show treats it all so well. And visually, it's a more lighthearted show, but it uses different angles to express some of the feelings and tension. Really impressive stuff. My minor complaint would be some of the side characters being a little too eager to push them towards a certain choice, but nothing too bad. So, prejudice aside, this one is a really interesting take for a subject like this. Very well done. S tier time. These next 3 are switchable. They're all great, so take the spots with a grain of salt. Just by a bit, this takes my 4th place, and like I said in my video, this was beautiful to look at from start to finish. Historic anime themes that like to bend some rules and be fun just work for me. I love the journey and how Tokiyuki slowly grows after those intense first episodes. His crew is so varied and entertaining. Even the bad guys are so different and fun to watch. It helps that the show isn't afraid to implement new styles for each of them, and it keeps delivering with some gorgeous action sequences and amazing animation. Cloverworks has been on an absolute roll, not to mention the banger opening and ending. Love the show and can't wait for season 2. This delivered so damn hard. This show was beautiful. Amazing fights and action sequences, awesome lip syncing, and really memorable character designs. I did say in the beginning that the bullied kid becoming strong story is overused, but Wistoria nails it with a lot of cool characters, a great looking magic system, a simple goal for the students, and the main man Will being really likable and easy to cheer for, apart from being a badass swordsman. Heck, half the cast is down bad for him. Love the arcs, love the slow shift in his perception in the school, the dark turn, the foreshadowing, and whatever the heck happens next. All awesome for a shonen show like this. Even the extra info on the eye catches was fun to read. Very cool lore, and I'm stoked for season 2. Again, had a tough time deciding that this was my number 2, since there are a few things I don't fully love, like the pervy teacher, another clingy sister, and the out of nowhere insane fanservice moments. Like, seriously, calm down. But regardless of that, when Makeine hit, it was special. The concept alone of taking these rejected girls and let them be the spotlight is genius. Almost every character in the show oozes charm and personality, really helping those emotional moments hit even harder. Lemon, Anna, and Chika are perfect for this. And shout out to my pure boy Kazuhiko for being a champ. Lots of laughs, lots of very beautiful and emotional moments of these characters being vulnerable, all while the presentation was perfect. Fluid as heck animation, beautiful colors and backgrounds, and the OST and music just packed it all nicely. Just a rom-com brimming with personality, fun, and a lot of love and care put into it. Amazing job. I wanted to add a special shout out to a show that technically isn't from summer, but went unnoticed because of its release date, and it's the amazing Dead Dead Demons. It's so unfair how little is talked about this one. It's technically an extended version of 2 movies, but oh my god is it a wild one. My sci-fi loving butt was so entranced with what this show was doing week after week. I will say that I kinda didn't have much faith in the first 2-3 episodes. Might have felt off about the cookie designs and jokes, but as more info was coming about these aliens and what the heck is on top of Japan, I couldn't stop watching. And I immediately changed my mind about the cast. I was fully invested in all of them, and I was super worried all the time about what was gonna happen. But man, that moment in the show absolutely destroyed me. You'll know if you see it. I'd go more into why, but seriously, if you're a sci-fi fan, you gotta watch this blind. Lots of twists, lots of amazing moments, attention to detail, and emotion. One of the shows of the year. Okay, and my number 1 was really finding a way to not put a sequel as my number 1. But Oshinoko Season 2 immediately reminded me why I love the first season. So happy to see these characters again, and to jump right into the 360 theater arc was so damn fun. Getting to see Kana, Akane, Aqua, and all these new faces in action, see their challenges, and be treated to this amazing visual spectacle each episode was so damn good. Dogakobo might have surpassed what they did in Season 1 visually. Episode 6 alone is up there for best of the year, and it's a moment focused on Melt, an extra, jaw-dropping animation, voice acting, and music that still gives me goosebumps. And that's just an echo to the rest of the amazing moments we got on the other episodes. Still as emotionally heavy, breathtaking, inspiring, funny, and beautiful as it was on Season 1. And maybe not as popular as the first, but I adore the opening song and the amazing animation. I know the memes from the manga might have taken some people out of it, but man, Season 2 is a can't miss treasure. Easily S tier and my absolute summer favorite. And that was my ranking of every summer show I saw. Sorry this is a little late already, but thanks for watching. I know this one is a bit more casual, but I'm kinda figuring out what to do with the channel, and I gotta think when I go full edit mode, and when I can talk about stuff more freely, you know? Let me know if you like this format, or if you prefer another way, let me know below. And if you enjoyed it, consider hitting the buttons and subscribing. It absolutely helps. Welp, gotta check out Fall and see what I can do. But for now, it's been Jules, I hope you have a great one, and I'll see you all for the next one.